The Big Ten balance of power. How does this shake out? Unlike some divisions in the SEC, it's not so cut and dry at the top. It used to be. Ohio State, then how far behind is everyone else? Well, that has changed, friends. I know we'll have a lot of spirited debate about what I'm about to say in the comment section, but I have Michigan as the number one program in the Big Ten right now. However, the way I would classify it is basically a 1A and a 1B. Now, we define program as like a rolling 3-year snapshot of multiple things, but when you play each other every year, head-to-head matters a whole heck of a lot, especially when the margin has been double digits both times. And we get to see it again this year. And it'll be fun again this year. But in the meantime, what I want to tell you is I'm not normally a person who has knee-jerk reactions to the outcomes of one game, but the status of the program, Michigan, and the program, Ohio State, in the Big Ten right now is such that it's either or 52-48, 53-47. You could see wild fluctuation year to year if they were to just go back and forth the next 5 years, trading wins. I would probably go back and forth who's 1A, who's 1B, because that's kind of how close I think they are in terms of comparability of program right now. But what if I didn't show you recruiting? So right now, I think anyone who would argue Ohio State, they would argue longevity, and it doesn't matter that I specified. No, I'm zooming in last 3 years. That's why I would say Michigan may be a little bit ahead of you as a program. I don't care what you did the previous 17 years, because I'm not talking about your trophy case. I'm just talking about right here and now. That notwithstanding, if you still argued Ohio State, there's plenty of argument for it. I think a lot of it would come down to talent acquisition, overall construction of roster, and supremacy of overall talent on that roster. That means something. Ultimately, who has the bigger number on the scoreboard is what matters. But if you're arguing health of program, I get where you're going with that. Here's what I would say about that. I would say ignore recruiting for just a second for me and just watch the teams play the last 2 years. And then I want you to tell me, what do you see from each of them? And I'm talking about them playing each other. What do you see from each of them? Because recruiting does matter, and I factor it in on this. And overall talent roster and roster talent level, it does matter. All that matters to me. Process matters. Development matters. Mindset matters. Identity matters. Michigan's just checking all those boxes right now. Maybe it changes this year. If it does, I'll be happy to revisit this. But that's why I put Michigan 1A, Ohio State 1B, fractions of a difference right now. That's why when they take the field this fall, if they were to do it right now, Vegas has a number on that game, and it's pretty much even, maybe favored one way here or there, and that line will move throughout the season. The odds to win the Big Ten, it's basically just pick whoever wins the Ohio State-Michigan game. And that's why it must be so fun down in Tier 2, because there is no depth in Tier 2 of the Big Ten. It's just Penn State. That's it. And Penn State gets to listen to things like what I just said come out of everyone's mouth. Big Ten Media Days in 2 weeks. I'll be up there. A lot of us will be up there. And that's exactly what they'll talk about. And James Franklin and Penn State will roll in. And they'll do their thing, and they'll get out of there. Do you realize now that Pat Fitzgerald is out at Northwestern, James Franklin is the second most tenured head coach in the Big Ten behind Kirk Ferentz? He's been there a while. He's not new anymore. He's been there a while. We did our show up there a couple of months ago and had fun up there. May go up there again this fall before the season kicks off. We'll see if schedules can work out. But I told you then, and I'll tell you now, there's no doubt the direction, there's no doubt the vision, there's no doubt about the intensity when you step on campus. A lot of programs are like that. I'm not saying Penn State has the market cornered on that. What I am saying is the attitude there is the exact attitude you would have if you weren't rebuilding. The attitude there is exactly what you would think you would have if you weren't miles away. The attitude there is the kind of attitude you get when you walk in a building and they know they're close. And they know they're just tweaks here, tweaks there, one addition here, one coaching philosophy adjustment over there. That's the difference. And then, of course, it's all culminating in having Drew Aller start at quarterback for you this year. Tier 2, that's Penn State. Don't really need to say much more on that. But Tier 3, that's where the fun is in the Big Ten. Like, if you want to get in debates, is Michigan State in Tier 3 or are they in Tier 4? Because I do a rolling 3-year snapshot, and baked into that 3-year snapshot is the best and worst of Michigan State. And I'm not so sure that averaging it out would give us the truest version of what that program is right now, even though logic would tell you to do it that way. I know I just paused there, and it sounds like I lost my train of thought. I didn't. I'm just looking at the screen and looking at 11-2 to 5-7. And then there's a big question mark this year because I hadn't played it yet. So Mel Tucker's 18-14 overall at Michigan State right now. Luke Fickell, he's at Wisconsin, but he just walked in the door. Wisconsin's been a fairly solid program. Luke Fickell just walked in the door. I could say to you, boy, I think that injects a ton of life in that program. But if I'm sitting here telling you I also value the rolling 3-year snapshot, I'm looking at 4-3, 9-4, 7-6, question mark. Tier 3? Is that Tier 3 worthy? I think it is. Iowa has got to be there. Iowa, with any kind of offensive pulse, would be in Tier 2. Their last 3 years, 6-2 in the COVID year, 10-4 in 2021, 8-5 last year. And for the record, we go back to 2015. Here are their win totals: 12, 8, 8, 9, 10, 6, 10, 8. And the 6 was in a COVID year. It's really solid, which makes you wonder, man, if they could move the ball offensively at all. In fact, I think Iowa would be at the very top of Tier 3. Minnesota, I think they're the sneakiest team in the Big Ten because 11-2, 3-4, 9-4, and 9-4. Those are their last 4 years. That 3-4 is the COVID year. PJ Fleck's quietly done a really good job up there. Now, the argument, of course, could be, well, that's just a byproduct of the West being really jumbled. What if Minnesota played in the East? What if Minnesota played the Big Three every year? Point taken. I just think that Tier 3 is very interesting. Then you get down to Tier 4, Illinois and Purdue. New staff at Purdue, going to be really fun to watch. Illinois under Brett Bielema made a lot of noise last year. If we get that noise again this year, we're changing their tier. Maryland, Mike Loxley, best team maybe he's had there coming up this year. There is a team there in College Park, Maryland. They're going to benefit a whole heck of a lot when they do away with divisions here, because no one talks about Maryland because you know who they have to play every year. And if I parked Maryland in the West, they'd probably just be thrown in that drum with everyone else, and everyone's got a shot because it's all a bunch of mediocrity. Indiana, Northwestern, that Northwestern situation, I've been watching that. Elevating interim, and they went 1-11 last year. What are they going to be this year? And that's tough. Rutgers also is in the Big Ten. It's about as much as I can say right now.